Hello, everybody, and welcome to your first section of statistics content. This is section 1.1 on descriptive and inferential statistics. So, here we're going to lay out some of the vocabulary words that we're going to be using all semester. So, a lot of vocab here. You might need to make some flashcards or a little Quizlet or something for this section and this chapter just to really make sure you've got this vocabulary down because it's going to help you communicate about the class all semester. All right, so we're going to begin with a look at the main topics of our course, starting with statistics, which is the science of collecting, organizing, analyzing, and interpreting data in order to make decisions. Now, this is something that is very common to need to do these days. Um, there's a lot of data available in the world. There's so much information in the world, and we can collect more of it every single day. So, being able to properly collect, organize, analyze, and come to conclusions about the data that we're looking at is a important skill to have. So we can kind of break this down into two parts of statistics, the organizing and summarizing part. So organizing and summarizing data is called descriptive statistics. So we're making a description of what we're seeing here. This might be just a nice organization to help other people see the data, summarizing what you found so that other people can look at it and see what's available there. And then the formal methods for drawing conclusions about that data are called inferential statistics. Okay, now this comes from the word infer, which is the process of deciding if something is true or not based on the information that you have. And you can infer about things other than statistics, certainly. Um, for instance, if you're trying to decide whether or not your friend wants to stay at a party with you, um, you might collect data by looking at them and checking their facial expressions, seeing what they're doing. You know, if they're kind of looking bored in a corner or something, you might come to the conclusion that they're ready to leave. So, yeah, inferential statistics is going to help us draw conclusions from the information that we have. It's like statistical detective work. Okay, now, going back to that idea of organizing and summarizing data, the descriptive statistics, two ways to do this, and we are definitely going to look at both of these this semester. One way is by using graphs or charts. All right, so more of a visual interpretation. These are really handy in presenting data to the public, like seeing a good graph or chart. If it's well made, can be really informative. And then another way to summarize data is by using numbers and calculations. So this would be things like calculating an average for a set of numbers, also sometimes called the mean. But yeah, we will definitely look at both of these aspects in the course of this semester, for sure. All right, so that's kind of summarizing. And then the goal of inferential statistics or statistical inference is really to understand the meaning of the data that we have organized and summarized. So it's kind of like almost a step 1, 2 type of thing. We've got to organize it and then we've got to draw conclusions from it. And the overall goal here is really to understand the meaning of our data. Okay, we want to see if the data we've collected is meaningful, if it's significant, and what it means for our lives. Okay, so that's the goal of statistical inference. So there's statistics. And then, of course, this semester, we're also going to talk about probability, another big subject. And probability is a mathematical tool used to study randomness. Okay, and when we hear that word randomness, we usually think of like, whoa, totally random, some freak occurrence. Um, those are things that are not very likely to happen. But probability is not limited to freak occurrences. It deals with just overall the chance of something happening. So the chance or likelihood of something occurring. And that could be something with a really low likelihood, like one of those freak occurrences that like almost never happens. Or it could be something with a high likelihood of occurring, like something that's almost guaranteed to happen. It goes all across the spectrum there. So, some quick examples of probability. One that we see every single day is the weather forecast, because we are not always 100% certain what the weather's going to be. In fact, we're pretty much never 100% certain, like what the exact temperature is going to be. So that's why you'll see on weather forecasts, like there is a 10% chance of rain. They are using a probability to express the chance of something occurring, with that something being rain. All right, so weather forecast, that's a good one. We've also got another classic that pretty much all of us have done. Tossing a coin is a good example of probability, because with a coin toss, there's, two ways it could go. It could land on heads or it could land on tails. And this one is so often used for probability experiments because either one of those outcomes, as long as it's a fair coin, they both have the same chance of occurring. You got a 50% chance of either one of those coming up, right? So you could get either heads or tails. So 50% chance of occurring for either one. And so how we express that in terms of probability is usually not with a percentage like that. I mean, it is a 50% chance of occurring, but the probability we usually say as a decimal instead. So just turn 50% into a decimal, 0.50. That would be the probability. Or you could say just 0.5. Or you could say a probability of 1/2. All right. Which, if you dig into that fraction a little bit, there were two possible outcomes, heads or tails, and we want the chance that one of those is going to occur. So, like heads is one outcome out of the two possible outcomes. So, that's just a little preview. We're going to get into probability really in chapter 4, but there's an introduction to the idea.